journey to the heart of American medicine was controversial. Most American doctors working in Cooney's day didn't believe premature babies were worth saving. Against this backdrop, incubators were considered fringe medicine at best, and Cooney practiced his medicine on the fringes. He never held a position in a hospital or a university chair of medicine. But his tireless championing of premature infants and of the incubator method of treating them not only saved thousands, but it also contributed to a revolution at the heart of American medicine. As I researched the twists and turns of this story, I discovered that the true tale of the man who called himself Dr. Martin Couney is far more extraordinary than I ever expected. What follows is the first in-depth look at the career of an incredible 20th century American figure. As will become clear, this is not just a story about birth. It is about rebirth, too. Chapter 1. The Child Hatchery, Berlin, 1896. From the outside, the Child Hatchery had the appearance of a small, rather ordinary-looking house. Inside, it boasted state-of-the-art infant incubators, spotlessly clean surfaces, and medical staff in starched white uniforms. Raised off the ground on legs, the incubators were as tall as a person. Half a dozen babies lay wrapped in swaddling clothes inside the large, gleaming metal and glass boxes. The boys wore blue ribbons and the girls pink. The infants had all been born prematurely and well below a healthy birth weight. Some were as little as 2 pounds. Their weight was supported on a bed of fine mesh, beneath which a pipe brought in warm water to heat the device. The atmosphere was akin to a miniature hospital, as the nurses quietly tended to their charges. In addition to the nurses, 2 doctors were employed in the facility along with a team of wet nurses. The medical staff worked in 8-hour shifts, and the nurses and wet nurses lived on site. The Child Hatchery, or Kinderbruttenstätte, to give it its German name, was part of the Berlin Industrial Exposition, which opened on May 1, 1896. The facility was divided into 3 compartments. On one side was sleeping accommodation for the nurses, and the wet nurses and their babies, with a separate room for the male physicians. On the other side of the building there was a nursery, where the infants were taken to be fed, changed, weighed, bathed, and given vigorous rub-downs to stimulate circulation. Observations were also carried out in this room. The nursery contained a small pharmacy, scales for weighing the babies, devices for sterilizing milk, and feeding equipment. The third part of the building, and the only section open to the public, was the incubator room. Here, visitors were permitted to view the infants lying within the incubators. There were 6 incubators lined along one wall. A guardrail ran along the perimeter of the room, a few feet in front of the incubators, to prevent visitors from getting too close. From morning until late at night, the incubator room was filled with spectators, peering through the glass. Men, women, and children came in huge numbers to see the miracle babies. The purpose of the exhibit was not just to nourish the infants in the incubators. It was to educate the public. Over the course of his career, when Martin Couney explained where it had all started, he always told the story the same way. It all started in Berlin. His mentor, the leading French pediatrician, Pierre Boudin, had dispatched him to Berlin in 1896 to take charge of an exhibit of infant incubators at the Berlin Industrial Exposition. Boudin believed incubators had a key role to play in revolutionizing care for babies born prematurely. By exhibiting them at the Berlin Exposition, he hoped to drum up widespread professional and popular support for the relatively new technology. According to Cooney, it was his own idea to fill the incubators with living, breathing babies, thereby turning a dry scientific exhibit into a gripping human drama. In 1896, Martin Couney went by his birth name, Michael Cohen. He was 27 years old, of medium height, bushy mustache and dark brown hair, which he wore in a side parting. His heavy-lidded brown eyes gave him a melancholy air. Though he wasn't classically handsome, people were drawn to him by his charm. To get the babies, Cohen had approached the Empress Augusta Victoria, the protectress of Berlin's charity hospital, to ask if the hospital had any infants born prematurely who might benefit from incubator care. So dismal were the odds of survival for babies born prematurely in the late 19th century.